Joining us now is Jeff Kuhner with the Washington Times to talk about Hollywood and our decaying morality.
Michael, the Academy Awards are now over. All the glitz and the glamour, all the hype, and the constant fawning and chatting in the media is now finally come to an end. And when after everything is said and done, what has Hollywood produced over the last year? They've had their Oscars, they've had their Academy Awards, they've given out awards for Best Director, Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Actress. When you run down the whole list of movies, Michael, what I find to me most shocking and what stands out is how little of social value anything that Hollywood produces is anymore. Look at the movie that won Best Picture, Slumdog Millionaire. It was the only good movie that, frankly, got my attention this year, and here's the catch. It's not American. And yet Hollywood was there celebrating this film, going on and on about what a wonderful movie it is, thinking that somehow this is going to show their liberal sensitivity to the fact that they're celebrating a non-American Indian film. And yet if you look at that film, it is a film that stands in stark contrast to everything else Hollywood was producing. It is a story about love. It is a story about eternal themes, about people living in the slums in India, trying to get ahead in life, trying to struggle to get away from evil, from oppression, from greed, to people who have young love, eternal love, romantic love. In other words, it was the kind of movie that Americans, that Hollywood used to make 50, even 40 years ago, with the likes of Bette Davis or Richard Burton or Elizabeth Taylor. And yet, opposite Slumdog Millionaire, opposite this Indian movie, what did Hollywood, what did American directors produce? Well, let's look at Revolutionary Road with Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio. It is a movie that is a running assault against suburban life, against the family, and it celebrates and rationalizes adultery and abortion. Then we look at The Reader with Kate Winslet and some other actors. It is a story set in Germany after the Nazis in which a female concentration camp guard has sex, I kid you not, with a 15-year-old boy. And it is the story about this boy and his mixed relationship and feelings with this woman after it comes out that she actually helped guard a concentration camp in which Jews were imprisoned and then literally burned to death. This is the kind of stuff that Hollywood is producing. But to me, the icing on the cake was the movie that won Best Actor for Sean Penn, or should I say Comrade Sean Penn, with his movie Milk, celebrating the first openly gay politician, Harvey Milk. Here you had Sean Penn accepting his award. And when he receives his award, he goes on a rant. And he goes on about how people in California who voted for the ban on gay marriage, that their children and their grandchildren will look upon them with shame and humiliation at this tremendous assault against human rights and civil rights and dignity of the homosexuals and gays and lesbians across California. Well, I have news for Sean Penn. He may run around to Iran and visit the mullahs and tell them how great their revolution is. He may go to Castro's Cuba and celebrate the supposed socialist paradise. He may go to Hugo Chavez's Venezuela and apologize for the supposed sins of America. But if he actually looked at Iran, he would see that homosexuals are literally being hung and crucified. That if he went to Cuba, that Castro's jails are full of homosexuals. That Chavez is no friend of gays and lesbians. But he won't open his eyes, because for him, the only thing that matters is to put America down, to shame America, to attack America, to attack the family, to attack our patriotism, to attack American capitalism, and everything that America holds dear and stands true for. And here's the thing that Sean Penn and his fellow leftists in Hollywood do not and cannot understand. Gay marriage is not a civil rights issue. And the reason why it's not a civil rights issue is this. If he would just open a book and read once, he would understand this fact, because it goes back for 2,000 years in Western civilization. Marriage is not about feeling good. Marriage is a sacred act between a man and a woman to have children. Marriage has been the institution, the bedrock institution, by which generation to generation we further the human race, and we have been able to build from one generation to another. It is the primary mechanism by which one generation passes on to another generation. If we have gay marriage, if we destroy the institution of the nuclear family, we not only have moral anarchy, but in the end, we have civilizational death and destruction. A civilization with homosexuals is a dead civilization, who go on about somehow this homosexual movement and this gay rights movement being somehow on the cutting edge of societal evolution. They should look at ancient Rome. They should look at ancient Greece. Because we are now in this country replicating everything that was done for hundreds of years in Rome and Greece, and it led to their destruction and their disintegration. Homosexuality, polygamy, rampant sex and promiscuity, an obsession with fame and glamour and glory. Where Rome once bestrode the world like a colossus, producing patriots, it ended up giving bread and circuses, and the population eventually died because it no longer cared for Rome, it no longer wished to defend Rome. We no longer have bread and circuses. What we have instead is big government and Hollywood. That is our entertainment. And what you saw in Hollywood with the Academy Awards were the shock troops of a cultural revolution for the last 30 years. And Michael, you often talk about fascism on your show. You often talk about communism on your show. And you're right. The evils of fascism and communism should never be forgotten, because there are many in Washington who are putting us on the very same road that we have seen with 20th century dictators. But the greatest revolutionary of the 20th century, ironically, was not Adolf Hitler, nor was it even Lenin and his Bolsheviks. It was Hugh Hefner and the Playboy philosophy. Because Hugh Hefner, when he created that smut magazine Playboy, he didn't just create a pornographic magazine. He created a new philosophy. He created what he called openly the Playboy philosophy, which can be boiled down to one principle. If it feels good, do it. And in the pages of Playboy, you saw year after year, decade after decade, starting in the 1960s, championing the sexual revolution, personal liberation, the attack on the family, the defense of gay rights, the defense of bisexuality, the defense of the, quote, transgender community. In other words, every perversion known to man came out of Playboy magazine and out of the pornographic culture that it spawned. And what has this culture wreaked? What has it produced over the last 30 years? We have destroyed millions of homes through divorce. Pornography is now everywhere on the internet. Teenage illegitimacy is soaring. You now look at people, broken homes, broken lives, broken families. STDs are now everywhere, especially in our high schools. Our youth are lost. And most importantly of all, what the left has been trying to do is to reduce us to animals. We have become sheer materialists. And that's why, Michael, I just want to say this to you and to all of your listeners. If you are tired of your most fundamental values being trampled on, if you are tired of these people going up and making stupid political speeches on behalf of gays or homosexuals or communist Cuba or Iran, or pick your cause of the day with these people, then don't buy their movies. Don't buy the tickets. If Sean Penn wants to celebrate homosexuality and the destruction of the American family, don't buy any movie with Sean Penn in it. If George Clooney wants to write movies and do movies where the CIA is portrayed as this rogue agency, bumping people off, and America is the root of all evil in the world and not the terrorists, don't buy any of his movies. And sooner or later, they will learn that their stupid activism, their radical chic, their anti-Americanism will cost them where it hurts, and that is their wallet. And in the end, when they have to choose between their wallet and their principles, they always choose their wallet, because that's Hollywood. At its core, when you scratch it beneath everything, behind all the hype, all the pretense, all of them spewing leftist platitudes and leftist propaganda, you will find a whore. They are hungry for money, and they will do anything for money. They are mercenaries in the end. And that's why we American people should now demand we want wholesome entertainment that reflects our values and our principles as a nation.